database feeds and routes somewhere from somewhere. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's at least get some speed. Let's get going. Hey! Stop your vehicle!
Stop pretending you're a police officer.
5,000 on the first one. 19 CF 15056 is another warrant.
Well, you guys, strap the fuck in, because this one is going to be a doozy. Two of my little niche YouTube obsessions are videos involving my fellow Florida man and anything involving crazy people interacting with the police. I'm not in any way affiliated with law enforcement. I just think it stems from the excitement I got watching cops as a child in the 90s. I don't know, but I'm a sucker for some good body cam footage. Call me a bootlicker, it is what it is. Anyway, today's story involves both of my favorite things. Florida man's and body cam footage of Florida man's impersonating a police officer, no less. But whose body cam footage will we be reviewing? Surely the police's, right? Well, let's think. If you planned on impersonating a police officer, what are a few things you would really need to sell the part? Well, you need a badge, for start, then maybe a gun or a taser. Let's see, maybe a uniform, and then a radio, that'd be good. Oh, and you can't forget the body camera. Any well-respected police department uses them. Whoops. Today we're going to talk about Jeremy Dewitte, a Muslim Florida man on the sex offender registry who claims to have broken his back parachuting into Fallujah while in the Rangers. A state-certified agent who didn't just impersonate a police officer, he impersonated an entire department. Let's get into it.
At no point should I ever been pulled over. At no point should I have ever been put in handcuffs. At no point should I ever been stripped of my gear in public while the funeral that I worked for was passing by. So now my business is going to suffer.
Jeremy Dewitte makes a living providing motor escorts for funerals, sometimes a dozen per week. These are the motorcycles he and his workers at Metro State Services use, outfitted with purple and yellow lights. He has cars and trucks outfitted the same way. And everyone wears helmets and uniforms with the Metro State logo.
While the subject of police impersonation itself is a rabbit hole all its own, this case has transcended the realm of goofy guy with low self-esteem pretending to be a cop. No, this has become more, much, much more. A story involving lies, arrests, grooming, Islam, the military, high-risk funerals, crying security guards, polygraph tests, flying chairs, moles, espionage, wiretapping, disappointed mothers, and lots of sweet body cam footage. This is the story of Jeremy Dewitte. He was born on February 10th, 1980, and grew up with his mother and father in Port Richey, Florida. Once upon a time, he dreamed of becoming a police officer one day, actually being a part of the Explorer program for Orange County Sheriff's Department. But his dreams were dashed relatively early when he was charged with theft and impersonating a police officer at the age of 18. Stemming from an incident in which he claimed he was having issues with a debit card after putting about $14 in gasoline in his car. He explained to the gas station clerk that he was an Orlando County Sheriff's deputy and that he would return soon with the money he owed. He later claimed that he did return to the gas station and give the lady the money, but they determined this to be a lie later also. The next day, real law enforcement showed up at his house and he was arrested. This would be the first incident in what would become a solid pattern throughout Jeremy's life. So you probably noticed that I mentioned that Jeremy is a sex offender. You might also note that I used the term grooming. If you're familiar with Jeremy, you might be thinking to yourself, but doesn't his sex offender status stem from an incident involving a one-night stand with a girl who lied about her age? I'm afraid to tell you that despite that being Jeremy's official story, and despite how many times he's regurgitated it, this too was a lie. I know, right? Just breaking your heart over here. The victim involved with Jeremy's case did an interview, and after explaining her side of the story, I can't help but feel like Jeremy's story was a complete fabrication, one in which he painted himself out to be a victim of some sort.
It wasn't consensual. He knew my age. He lived with us. We lived with my cousin. I'm living with my cousin. And before we moved into apartment, that's where we were living at all together. My cousin's ex-wife actually was best friends with him. That was her best friend, yes. So he started, she'll bring him around, or anytime she went on lunch, he would come around and, take us out for lunch, because I used to hang out with my cousin sometimes when she was at work. I was 15 at the time, just turned 15. We would go, we would go to the Orlando Ale House right there on OBT by the Florida Mall.
My name is I'm cousin. This is something that ruined her life.
That was
I'm sorry, she was 15 years old and she was high school. Like, she was like a sophomore in school.
So that was my cousin's ex-wife, well, ex-wife now, best friend. He'd come around, take us out for lunch. At that time, he betrayed, like he just came out the army or whatever. Long story.
The girl states that Jeremy and his brother lived with her for months. Over the course of those months, he slowly began to groom her before eventually getting her intoxicated and coercing her into sex, and being completely aware of her age the entire time. But this should really go as no surprise to anyone, for this is what Jeremy tends to do. He does something highly immoral or illegal and then uses his lies and manipulation to make himself out to be the victim. You really start to get a feel for this when you listen to Jeremy's phone call with his mother from jail. You can tell this has been an ongoing thing his entire life. His mom's tone is that of someone who has been subjected to this behavior for so long that she's just over it.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can.
They're fucking with me. They arrested me again for the same thing. They pulled my body camera, and it's not even me on the camera. They just pulled one of the body cameras, and they're saying it's me, and they arrested me for it. And they're
for what?
For the same thing.
I don't know what thing you're talking about.
Impersonating a police officer, Mom.
In the Windermere thing?
No, they pulled the body camera from Windermere. It's a body camera that everybody wears. It's not even just mine, you know. And they're
from
saying,
the Windermere thing.
Huh?
When it happened in Windermere.
Right. They took my camera that I was wearing at the time, and they're using that footage to charge me. They're saying that I went into an intersection and I told a car to hold on, and then they're saying some guy, and he picked me out of the lineup. I'm wearing a helmet and glasses, and they're saying it was me, and it wasn't even me. It wasn't even me on the camera. It wasn't even me talking to the guy. It was one of my other guys. It wasn't even fucking me. And they're just charging me with it. They're just charging me. And they're charging me with the off-duty deputy that hit me with his truck. He hit me with his truck, and because I told him to get out of my funeral, they're charging me. They're fucking with me, and they're stacking it so I go out of business or something. I have no money. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you ever want to see me again as your son, but you better get the family together and you better get a bunch of money. Mom, this isn't right, and I didn't do anything. I'm not doing what they're saying. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you ever want to see me again as your son, but you better get the family together and you better get a bunch of money. Mom, this isn't right, and I didn't do anything. I'm not doing what they're saying.
I'm not quite sure why we have to pay for everything. You got empty ambulances.
I have no money right now. Okay. I've just spent everything on the Windermere thing. I'm going to sell whatever I need to sell. I'm going to close down whatever I need to close down. I've been driving a tow truck for the last 3 days by myself, and I've never towed a car in my life to make money. I fired my tow truck guy, and I'm driving a tow truck to make money. I have no money. This Windermere thing is draining me. I have no money. And they're
okay. And Jeremy, stop. Take a deep breath. Okay.
I need you to get the family together and get me
what
money.
What family are you talking about?
Then fucking forget it. You either help me like you helped Dylan when they falsely accused him, or just
okay,
whatever.
Let me just tell you something, Jeremy. Dylan's paying it back.
And I'll pay it back, too. I have a lawsuit that's coming in from Dan Newland.
Nobody's giving you a ton of money. I'm telling you that right now.
Dan Newland.
She knows better than anyone not to believe a single word he says. She also ran a funeral escorting service and a security company while Jeremy was growing up. But our story really begins in 2010 when Jeremy would eventually start his own funeral escorting services called Metro State. They specialized in something called high-risk funerals, and Jeremy took his job very seriously. Maybe a little too seriously. So, Metro State started off with one Chevy Impala cruiser and a single motorcycle, but after locking down a couple of contracts with a couple local funeral homes, he would rapidly expand his business and eventually have more than 10 motorcycles and at one point 4 active cruisers, including a Chevy Tahoe SUV. At any given time, he would also have several people employed with Metro State. He referred to his employees as his units or officers, and they all went by call names while on duty. He was essentially impersonating an entire police department, which is probably what I find most fascinating about Jeremy. He obviously didn't lack the motivation to become a police officer. In fact, to live out his weird little fantasy, he displayed an impressive willpower and dedication to acquire multiple vehicles, getting decals to make the vehicles look like police cars, and on top of that, running a successful business that essentially allowed him to monetize his fantasy. In a lot of ways, I'm almost envious of his hustle. Like, anyone can buy a police costume and walk around pretending to be a cop, but to convince 7 other people to do it with you and get paid to do it, that's the part that really gets me. If he wasn't so delusional, and I didn't know he had done this out of a weird insecurity and craving for authority, this would almost be an inspirational story. Like, guy who made a mistake when he was younger and couldn't become a cop, starts a funeral escort business or security company so he can at least work in his desired field. I mean, who doesn't love a story about someone who refused to give up on their dreams and made it work to a degree? This, however, doesn't apply to Jeremy Dewitte. No, he's much more like the kid who got caught running his own gynecology clinic in Tampa. His personality and schemes reflect that of a con artist who was willing to temporarily suspend his own self-awareness in order to live out a childish fantasy. I believe he is obsessed with the idea of having authority or power, and his actions simply demonstrate just how far he will go to obtain it. Even during his interactions with police, he seems to be in some way living out the fantasy of having beef with a rival department. You could probably guess that he is also a fan of telling people he was in the army and served as a ranger in both Afghanistan and Iraq. He also claims he broke his back parachuting into Fallujah. However, during an interrogation with detectives, he admitted he had never served in the United States military in any capacity whatsoever. Yeah, Jeremy is one of those guys. And this brings us to a good place where we can actually break and talk about today's sponsor.
This tragedy could have been avoided. Family is the most important thing. And here at Metro State, we understand that saying goodbye to a loved one is a difficult process. The added pressure and financial burden of organizing the funeral, as well as the ever-present threat of potential terrorist attacks, roadside bombs, gang shootings, ambushes, missing persons, political assassinations, heists, active shooter situations, and traffic jams during the proceeding can sometimes take an emotional toll on an already grieving family. That's why during your time of grief and sorrow, it's important to have someone who cares. We here at Metro State believe that picking the right funeral escorting service is paramount, as making the wrong decision can mean the difference between life and death. The last thing on your mind during the funeral arrangement process should be what you're going to do if an armed gunman storms the building, or if the hearse that Grandma's casket is involved in a Fast and the Furious style heist while en route to the funeral. Ease your mind and let Metro State Funeral Escorts take the burden off your hands.
Basically, he was able to keep his business going successfully for a while, until on September 7th, 2019, in Windermere, Florida, everything would start to fall apart, as Jeremy would again be arrested for impersonating a police officer. This incident involved Windermere police witnessing Jeremy driving recklessly and halting traffic, and after conducting a routine run on his tags, his motorcycle came back as stolen.
The vehicle's not stolen, Sergeant. I have the registration for the vehicle, Sergeant. I have the registration for the vehicle, Sergeant. Sergeant, get your lieutenant, please.
There is no lieutenant. I'm in.
Then get a captain.
There is no captain.
Then get somebody that outranks you, Sergeant.
Nobody
I have the very valid registration, Sergeant, that shows the state of Florida gave me the registration and that tag. The tag was stolen off another motorcycle. That motorcycle was stolen. We were given the tag back by Orange County Sheriff's Office, and then that tag was given to us by the Department of Motor Vehicles, Sergeant.
Well, you have handcuffs.
Make sure you have your body cameras running.
Body cameras are running. Why you have handcuffs?
I'm not talking to you, officer.
Okay.
I have the registration for that vehicle, Sergeant.
It actually ended up not being stolen, but at this point they were already far more interested in what Jeremy was up to and why he looked so much like law enforcement. This is what sparked the initial interest and investigation into Jeremy. It would be revealed that a couple months prior to the Windermere incident, Jeremy was involved in an altercation in Chicago, in which Jeremy hurled several metal chairs from a 6th-floor balcony at a tow truck driver attempting to tow his rental car.
Roll and take off. By the time I get out to try to pop the linkage, he throws 2 more aluminum chairs. Boom! Hits the truck. It hits the back window so hard I thought he was gonna bust the window off. So then when I come out from under there, I see him like 2 floors under the top of the building. And he said, wait till I get down there with my pistol. So he's got a gun. So then when he starts talking to me about the pistol, I'm like, fuck it, the car's not working.
And we were going to move the car. We were just going upstairs to get the keys.
Going upstairs to get keys? Why are you guys throwing down chairs?
Just stop him.
Where is your husband?
He's coming downstairs.
Okay, your husband's about to be arrested. Your husband's about to be arrested. Gentlemen, what is he doing? Do me a favor, turn around.
Hold on. He pulled a weapon on. He pulled a weapon on. Yes, he did. He pulled a weapon on him. He pulled a weapon on him. What are you guys doing? My badge. Where's my badge? Where's my badge, Rania? I have my badge.
Bodycam footage of the incident showed that Jeremy had also attempted to convince the officers on scene that he was law enforcement. He referred to himself as a state-certified agent and requested that his wife get his badge out of the car. However, he wasn't charged with impersonation in this particular case. During questioning in Windermere, he was asked about the incident, and he denied having been arrested, instead doing his best to try and downplay the severity of events that had taken place. The previously mentioned interrogations are a perfect example of Jeremy's manipulative nature. No matter what the circumstances of the incident he was involved in, he always takes a hearty effort to make sure he paints himself as the victim. The final nail in Metro State's coffin came in September 16, 2019, when during a funeral procession, Jeremy slapped the hood of an off-duty police officer. He was stopped in relation to the incident, and at this point, local law enforcement had run out of patience for Jeremy's bullshit.
I understand.
No, hear me out.
Okay, go ahead, Sergeant.
This time you're going to shut up.
Yes, Sergeant.
You're not going to interrupt me. You and I had a conversation on the phone, in-depth conversation, about your tactics, about your lights, about everything. Okay? This impersonating police officer is coming to an end. Okay, you've told me point blank the reason you do it is to get respect. The reason you wear this outfit is so people think you're cops and they will respect you and listen to your authority. The reason your cars look like the Ocoee Police Department is so they think you're cops. Okay, you guys have taken this too far. You have taken it too far. The passing on a double yellow lines, you can't do that. You know you can't do that. I've told you you can't do that. But your bikes continue to do that. All right, when we talked last time, I was talking about you guys occupying more than one lane. You can't do that. Okay, I've told you this time and time and time again, Jeremy, but you continue to do it. You continue to ride around Orange County in a lawless state with your escorts. Okay, enough's enough. All right, we've had it with you guys. All right, in the state. Why are you pounding on vehicles? Why are you hitting no authority?
He was an officer.
It doesn't matter what he is. If he was an officer or not. What if it's just a regular civilian that's calling us in right now?
I understand totally. Please let me finish.
I'm letting you finish.
Okay. At that time, he stops.
Okay.
He rolls down his window, and I'm like, sir, you got to get out of the funeral. He's like, what you're doing is illegal. You can't do this. I was like, sir, you got to get out of the funeral. You can't keep slamming on your brakes. The family's honking at you. Move. Come on. He's like, I'm a deputy, or I'm a cop. You're breaking the law, and I'm going to arrest you. I was like, sir, I don't care if you're a cop or not. You're cutting in and out of the funeral, and you're slamming on your brakes. Get out of my funeral. Please, get out of my funeral. He's like, I'm a cop. I'm going to arrest you. I was like, sir, I honestly, I won't lie to you, Sergeant. I said, sir, I don't care. I don't care if you're a cop. Get out of the funeral. Then he purposely continues on in the funeral. The light's green. If the light's green, he'd...
The stop resulted in a couple of Jeremy's employees, or units, being arrested for open carrying firearms without a permit. One of them actually starts to cry while he's being handcuffed.
Security guard. Oh, you're the employer. All right. Hold on, my bad. That's right. The reason we attached, yeah.
Hey, throw this on the car. Yeah.
Take this off. Alright.
There you go.
We know you got your phone in here, alright?
Yeah.
Just keep your hat on you.
And while hilarious, I can't help but feel bad for him, as he was probably a victim of Jeremy's delusional interpretations of statute or state law. Following this incident, police were able to obtain a warrant for Jeremy Dewitte's body camera footage, and the full extent of Jeremy's escapades were finally revealed. The body cam footage was highly incriminating and an internet goldmine. It shows Jeremy driving recklessly at high speeds, shouting commands through his radio to his units, using police sirens, pulling people over, and even at times physically punching the hood of cars he had pulled over. These videos are what sparked the internet's obsession with Jeremy Dewitte and Metro State, and also mine. As you can see, we're already hitting the 23-minute mark in this video. I usually want to keep my videos within 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude... Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and conclude part 1 of this video. I'll see you guys really soon for part 2. I'm already working on it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night. Or a great day, whichever. Doesn't matter.